Well, it's back to Afghanistan. At least that's what it's looking like. Hi, this is John Rowell for the Rowell Report. Today is Friday, September 19th, 2025, and we're supposed to believe that the reason why the United States wants to go back and reinstall itself in the Bagram Air Base in Afghanistan is because of some misbehaving U.S. citizens who are hauled into Afghan prisons, or maybe we left behind people when we did the cut and run in, I believe it was 2021. So, anyway, we're supposed to believe that because there's a few Americans in Afghan prison that we need to go to the whole effort of reinstalling ourselves in the Bagram Air Base. So you can see here, there's a blue dot. I'll get in here a little closer. You can see the Bagram Air Base. It's in the middle of nowhere. I mean, if they wanted to try to get U.S. citizens out of Afghan jail, then that's usually the work of a consulate or embassy, and they would be in Kabul, not in the Bagram Air Base. But we all know that this is part of the United States' effort to ramp up its covert operation to slow down and to stymie China. The United States is extremely worried about the economic and military progress of China and is not sure exactly what to do about it. So, anyway, this Bagram Air Base was really important. Here, I'm going to focus in a little bit. This is a huge base, it is mammoth in size. I've highlighted the area around the edge of the base. It covers 30 square miles, has two runways, which are extremely long, and these are good for the bombers. During the height of its use, there were over 700 operations daily, and they had a, a huge hospital. They have all the barracks, dining facilities, gyms, and detention centers that would be normal in a U.S. base, but this was a mega investment from the United States at the time. Initially, the base was only designed to hold about 10,000 people, so they continued to expand it and expand it. So apparently, in 2012, over 100,000 U.S. troops passed through Bagram Air Base. So anyway, the maintenance of that air base at its height would have been in the billions of dollars per year. So, what are we looking at? Are we looking at a total reintroduction of U.S. forces in Afghanistan at the Bagram Air Base to free a couple of U.S. citizens? So, anyway, this is kind of nonsensical, the explanation of why they want to go back. And obviously, there's something bigger they want to do, and I just want to take a look at the area so we can get kind of a better idea of what's going on. Close to Bagram, of course, we know that's Afghanistan. Kabul is the capital. Over here is Kashmir. Kashmir has been a point of contention between India and Pakistan for a long time. So possibly the United States wants to incite some sort of conflict there in Kashmir to destabilize India and Pakistan. I think the United States is in a constant effort of destabilizing countries so that it can maintain its hegemony. Up to the north of the Bagram Air Base, we got Tajikistan. We know that Tajiks were used, I believe, by the Ukrainian FSB, their KGB, in two terrorist attacks in Russia. So there may be a connection between the CIA and the Tajiks. We don't know. But if the CIA is going to come back into Bagram, so then that possibly means that they want to do detentions in different parts of the region and bring them to Bagram Air Base to collect intelligence. So there's all kinds of things that this Air Base could be used for. Anyway, I'm just gonna run through some of the images of the air base. Here we have a photo showing the runways and part of the base. Of course, it's huge. This is just a portion of it. These are all the flags. It seems of all the different countries that had soldiers in Afghanistan or had some sort of presence. This so anyway, at one end we have the United States, and the other side we have the UK. So this is the U.S. UK sandwich, which is kind of the, I wouldn't call them vassal countries, but certainly countries that were operating within the U.S. UK um, direction in Afghanistan. So anyway, take it for what it's worth, but there's a reason why the U.S. flag is on one end and the UK flag at the other, and all these others have pitched in to the effort. So anyway, if we look here at the airbase, we can see some of the living conditions. Of course, these military tents. I don't know about how comfortable they were, but anyway, you can see that they have, it looked like pallets used as kind of a walkway, and we have an improv roof. So anyway, this is all, this was all put together really quickly, and as they introduce more and more forces into the area, the view is beautiful, but you can see that they didn't make any effort to try to make the airbase look very nice. It's, I guess, all functional. Every area had its own living area and storage facilities. So anyway, you don't see a lot of electrical wires, so they must have had the wiring below ground. I don't know, but anyway, uh, can move on here. And while they were there, you can see that they were playing volleyball, and they were eating pizza, and they were having music concerts. So while they're there, they can have lots of fun, I guess. But anyway, they're obviously not there to have fun. And then of course, here's a photo of someone who looks like he's one of the translators. Those are the people who were basically promised heaven in a basket. That all they had to do is collaborate with the U.S. forces, and they were going to be taken to the U.S. and if things went south, they'd be taken to the U.S. They'd be given a home and an income, and they would live the good life. Well, once the U.S. started to pull out, they said, "We'll send you a memo in the mail. Wait for it." And they're still waiting. So anyway, I don't know if the people who collaborated with the U.S. when they were there are going to want to see them again or collaborate with them again. Um, but anyway, the fact that the United States wants to go back into the Bagram Air Base is a sign that they're ramping up their hegemonic presence in the area, and to try to uh, I guess, rein in China. Not too far away from the air base is China, and so there is a transportation road. I guess it will be probably trains that will be bringing in commerce from China into Afghanistan, and then eventually over to Iran. So this is possibly to interrupt um, any military supplies, or to have surveillance on what kind of military supplies are being brought in from China into Iran. So this basically puts them right in the middle between Iran and China. They can also monitor Iran from drones that they fly close to the border, and they can gather intelligence that way. and they have runways at Bagram so that they can carry out bombing missions if they ever decide to uh, enter into a more direct conflict with China. So the the idea that the United States is going to come into this airbase certainly would not be welcome, neither by China nor by Iran. I don't know if Afghanistan would want to see them there either. Bagram Air Base was used for the CIA detentions. They had black sites there. That's something called the Salt Pit, which is, I guess, called Site Cobalt. And it was a converted brick factory, and it was linked to Bagram. Detainees were held in isolation, sometimes in small holding cells or metal containers. And um, while the U.S. military officially ran the large Bagram detention facility, CIA operations were reported to take place in separate secret compounds on or near Bagram, and they reported about enhanced interrogation techniques were used at the Afghan sites, also um, including Bagram. And so basically, I don't think the Afghans have a really good memory of the U.S. presence at Bagram. And so I don't think Afghanistan is going to want them in. So is the U.S. going to come in guns blazing to retake that airbase? And then how much are they going to have to uh, invest in order to maintain the security at the airbase? This certainly seems like President Trump is ramping up his peace president protocols. So, um, if the U.S. citizens elected a peace president, and you see he wants to go back into Afghanistan, then you see China, Iran, about the the transportation road that they're going to build between China and Iran, and to uh, have oil flowing from Iran into China, then you kind of get an idea of what the Bagram Air Base is all about. It could detonate, that oil pipeline at any point. So basically, the United States would not be too welcome there by any of these countries. And so, like I say, are they planning to come in guns blazing to take Bagram again? So, if they thought they would need it in the future, why did they leave in the first place? But anyway, um, it could also be used to monitor Pakistan's nuclear program. If they think that Pakistan might shoot a nuclear weapon over towards Israel, then they could try to intercept it, or they could first hit um, the the nuclear missiles before they leave Pakistan. So anyway, this looks like a could be a serious provocation for the area, and I don't think any of these countries would want them there. So, anyway, regarding monitoring China, well, I think this is all related to the oil pipeline and to the commerce that would go from China over towards Iran and Afghanistan. I think they want to make sure that Afghanistan doesn't progress economically and remains as an unstable country. Possibly they want to finance and support opposition groups within Afghanistan. And um, so, anyway, long story short, this would be a huge expense for Americans. This would be a big provocation for the area if they wanted to try to retake Bagram Air Base. I can't imagine that the Taliban would want the U.S. back in any shape, size, or form. And if they were there, they would certainly be looking to destabilize the area, to break up the Iran oil pipeline over to China, and to try to break up the commerce from China over to Iran, Afghanistan. And so this could bring quite a bit of upheaval to the area. And we just see Kashmir not too far away from Bagram, so they could certainly try to create false flags and to incite a war between India and Pakistan. So anyway, and if we look out a little further, we can see that this airbase isn't too far away from some of these Siberian cities in Russia, and some of these cities is where they have quite a bit of um, factories for military equipment, so they could, literally from a bomber that takes off at this airbase, um, they could hit factories or military facilities in central Siberia, uh, Russia. So anyway, so going back to this airbase finally, so we can take one good look at it, um, we can see that it is huge. It certainly would give the United States a defensible area where they could establish a presence, but in the end, I think the cost for the U.S. would outweigh the benefits. So I don't know if they'll be going back to Afghanistan, but I think they're just going to keep on. We're in barely, we're not even in a year for President Trump's presidency, and we're all already looking at different scenarios of World War III. So anyway, this could be part of particular scenario. But anyway, we'll come back for more later if we see that there's any developments. I think the United States to go in there would probably have to come in guns blazing, and they would need a lot of security there. In the end, the 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 benefits would not outweigh the costs. So I can't see them staying there very long. And supposedly they were going in to haul out a few U.S. citizens, probably CIA or U.S. State Department people who got their noses in the wrong place. So anyway, I'm, you know, this is not a good development, and I hope that they decide not to go back to Afghanistan. But I mean, they keep on talking about it, so um, we'll just monitor this and come back later when we have more information. And so, well, thank you for joining me today for this video. This is John Rowell for the Rowell Report. Please like this video if you like the content, and subscribe. That helps to support independent journalism. And if you like to comment below, please comment, why is the U.S. trying to go back to Bagram? If you have a better idea than I do, please let me know. Thanks so much.